The questions that we are going to discuss in this session, even if you are fully sure that you have done it correctly, still I would recommend you to watch each and every solution, each and every step, because I am not only discussing the solution, I am doing a 360-degree analysis of the question. Okay, not a very detailed one because time is limited, that is not permitted by time, but I love to do that analysis, right? But I will be discussing not only the detailed solution, but what are the possible variations of the question, right? Because it is memory based, there can be few things here and there that can change the answer, as well as what are the possible silly mistakes that you would have done even in the very simple looking question. So even if you have correctly solved this question, you are very sure, still I would recommend you to watch each and every solution carefully. Let us start. Heat transfer in GATE 2021 mechanical forenoon session also was very doable. In my opinion, full marks are possible in heat transfer subject as well. Okay, let us look at the questions one by one. As I told you, I will not only be giving you the answer and the solution, but I will also be giving you the points where you could have done some silly mistakes or some ways using which you could solve that faster. All right. Let us start with the first question that we are going to discuss. Again, a question from unsteady heat transfer. 3-4 years back in GATE, a question came from unsteady heat transfer. At that time, that was considered to be a slightly controversial question because before that, such questions were not used to come. But GATE made it very clear that unsteady state heat transfer is definitely something that they can ask. And at that time, as I keep on updating the content as per the latest GATE trend, so I updated the content of exergic study material at that time based upon the latest GATE trend. All right. So Hissler chart, I added 3 types of Hissler chart. All the 3 types, what they define, what type of questions can be asked, all of them are already discussed in the exergic study material. Right. So this question is on Hissler chart. And which Hissler chart? There are 3 Hissler charts. You will see it very soon as I read the question. A hot steel spherical ball is suddenly dipped into a low temperature oil bath. So there is oil bath means there is a reservoir, small reservoir of oil. Alright. Generally it is used to cool the hot components. So we have a hot steel spherical ball which is suddenly dipped. Now, suddenly being the keyword, which is suddenly dipped, right? Which means that if it is suddenly dipping into the oil bath, at the time it enters the oil bath, at that very instant, its temperature will be high. You are not dipping it slowly. It's very important. In this question, this keyword suddenly is very important. You are not dipping it slowly. If you are dipping it slowly, thermal equilibrium will keep on establishing between the oil and the ball, right? So that would not make it the case that we are going to discuss. For the case that we are discussing, it is dropped suddenly means at the exact instant when it entered the oil bath, it is still hot, right? So it has reached here, but it is still hot. The oil bath is cool and now the heat transfer is going to start. So the heat transfer is occurring at such a situation where unsteady heat transfer is going on at every temperature, at every time, next time interval, temperature is continuously changing. At the center also, it would have been high, rather highest, that will also start decreasing with time. At other points also, the temperature will keep on decreasing with time. All right. So, which of the following dimensionless parameters are required to determine instantaneous center temperatures of the bath of the ball using Hissler chart? Now it is asking you that which dimensionless parameters. Option has different dimensionless parameters which will be used to determine instantaneous center temperature. Center temperature. Hissler chart. Which Hissler chart is used to determine the center temperature? First Hissler chart. There are 3 Hissler charts. First is used to determine the center temperature variation. Second is used to tell the temperature variation at any point other than the center or other than the mid section. and third Hissler chart is used to determine the total amount of heat transferred. Okay, this is something that you can remember for future also, in case you have not covered it in the study material, or maybe in other course you have not covered this. So this is something which I had already taught in Exergic study material. So this point must remember every 3-4 years. We can see that one question from unsteady heat flow definitely comes, heat transfer definitely comes, and it is a question which, if you have not covered it in a proper way, you might miss it. Still, I will tell you that even without knowing Hissler chart, how you could solve this question, I will tell you. Okay, so using the first Hissler chart, you have to answer. You have the first Hissler chart. I asked you that look at the different parameters of the chart, what are the x and y coordinates, and if you knew that, you could easily tick the right answer here. But even if you are having no idea of Hissler chart, how to solve this question, I will tell you. Okay, look at what I have taught you, what is written. You can clearly see it from the chart or from the notes that I have given you, that the x-axis is giving you the Fourier number and the slope is 1 by Biot number. But suppose you were not knowing about Hissler chart, still you wanted to answer this question, you could easily answer it. Very clearly, there is a spherical ball which is dipped in a oil bath. It is going to be a case whether you will at least consider that should I apply lumped analysis or I should not apply. In both the cases of lumped analysis, whether you want to apply or you don't want to apply, Biot number calculation is must. So Biot number is going to be there. You should not have any confusion in that. So whatever options were there, I am not writing all the other options. Whatever options were there, options without Biot number, simply cancel them. Biot number has to be there even if it is lumped or if it is not lumped. It is used to determine whether you can use lumped analysis or you cannot use lumped analysis. But this number is going to be relevant in both the studies of lumped analysis as well as the Hissler chart analysis. So Biot number is going to be there. Second thing, it is asking you the instantaneous temperature. Each and every keyword is important. I repeated that even in the last video that I uploaded before you were going for GATE. Instantaneous means it is time dependent. What is Fourier number? Fourier number is dimensionless time. This is something that I have already told you, that Fourier number is dimensionless time. Obviously, Fourier number will come if we are talking about this instantaneous variation in such a case. It's a no-brainer that Biot number and Fourier number, only these two numbers are relevant for the given analysis. Even without knowing the details of Hissler chart, you could easily answer this question. Let us move to the next one. Now let us discuss the next question from heat transfer from radiation. Shape factor. Obviously, shape factor is a topic from which we cover a lot of questions, right? Even some very complex questions also we have covered in different courses. But this specific case we have discussed in our course already, where there was a hollow cube and inside that there was a solid sphere. So I'm sure that for my students this question is just free marks and nothing more than that. So in this case we have to find F22, right? We know that F22 is going to be equal to 1 minus F21. Why? Whatever are the radiations of the cube, of the inside surface of the cube, it is going to have some part of that, right? Because you can very clearly see that the radiations that are emitting from here, suppose, those radiations are going to strike again the surface of 2 itself, right or not? So definitely F22, as I have told you while I was teaching this exact case, when I was teaching, that is going to be more than 0. But is it going to be 1? No, because some radiations of 2 which are going out from 2 are going to strike 1. They are not going to directly strike 2. So it will not be a value which will be 1. So it will definitely be a value between 0 and 1. Some part of it is going to strike the 2, some part of it is going to strike the 1. So obviously you have to consider those radiations also which are going to strike the 1, and easily using this expression we can find out the value of F22, which is 1 minus F21. Now to find F21 we are going to use A1 multiplied by F12 is equal to A2 multiplied by F21, right or not? Because this expression can very easily relate not only the two areas but also the two shape factors. Area we always try to include because it's something that is always given to us in the question. The dimension is always given to us in the question. So this relationship in some way or the other always find its way when we want to find out the shape factors. Now in this case, when I was solving these different examples, and in general whenever you are solving questions of shape factor, always keep one thing in mind. Before even you start solving a question, write down what shape factors are 0 and what shape factors are 1 without even starting to solve this question. Are you able to find any 0 or any 1 shape factor in this case? Yes, one shape factor, value of shape factor as 1 is going to be present for F12 because it is a convex shape, and I've already told you, for a convex shape, no radiation of a convex shape strike itself back, right? Everything is emitted out. So whatever radiation of one, it's spherical shape is a convex shape, right? So whatever radiations emit 100% of those radiations are going to strike the surface 2. So F12 is going to be 1. Other than that, there is no shape factor which is 1, no shape factor which is 0. Yeah, 0 is one shape factor if you want to write F11 as 0, right? Which you can very clearly see that F11 plus F12 should be equal to 1. The same expression, but this one is for the surface 1, this one is for the surface 2, right? So, having known this, we can very easily see that F21 in this case, sorry, F12, not F21, F12 in this case is going to be 1, right? So, from this F21 will come out to be A1 divided by A2 multiplied by 1. Areas, we can find out every area because dimensions are given. This is a sphere. So for a sphere, area is 4 pi r square. R is in mm, r is in mm, and this dimension of the cube is also in mm. So you don't have to worry, mm square will cancel out. So 4 pi r square is the area of the sphere. For the cube, we have 6 sides in a cube, each of them having an area of 30 by 30. So 6 multiplied by 30 square. Now let me solve it. So this will come out to be 0.2327, and this F21 you have to put here so that you can find out F22. Putting it back will give you F22 as this. So depending upon up to how many decimal place you had to find the answer, you can use this value for the shape factor of 2 with respect to 2. Coming to the next question, again it's a very easy question. I assume that almost everyone who has covered this topic could have easily and correctly solved it. An infinitely long pin fin is attached to an isothermal wall. Nothing new here, walls are isothermal. Whenever we are talking about the heat transfer through fins, the walls are having the same temperature, constant temperature. We don't consider any variation of temperature on the wall. Yes, along the fin, the temperature varies, but on the wall, at different points on the wall, it does not vary. So it's an isothermal wall, that's what it means. Extremely easy. Transferring heat at a steady rate. So clearly it's a case of steady heat transfer, steady state heat conduction from the fins. The same case that we have been discussing. And it is radiating the heat, releasing the heat, not radiating, releasing the heat away from the fins at a rate of Q1 dot to the ambient air. If K is doubled, if thermal conductivity of the material of the fin is doubled, then, and keeping the other factors unchanged, then heat transfer will become Q2 dot. Okay. What will be the ratio of new heat transfer rate to the initial heat transfer rate? We already know that for an infinitely long fin, this is the expression of heat transfer rate, right? In this expression, you can very clearly see that this is directly proportional to root of K, keeping other factors unchanged. Obviously, the area, the dimension of the fin is not going to change. H value, it is also not changing. The temperatures of the base and the surrounding ambient temperature is also not changing. Only K is changing. It is proportional to root over K. Very simple. If K becomes 2 times, Q is going to become root 2 times, right? Correct. So making the K double is going to make the Q root 2 times. Just as simple as that. So I'm sure many of you, almost all of you, would have easily solved this question, right? Coming to the last question of heat transfer. This is a question again a case which we have covered in video course, a question which we have discussed, which we have asked multiple times in the test series also. Even I made a video analysis of test series also on this specific concept, right? I am very much convinced that if you have gone through all the videos, the study material, you have attempted the test series of Exergi carefully, there almost everything that has been asked in GATE, it has been covered. Every year a couple of things here and there new are asked. Even in those cases also, the centrifugal casting that we discussed in manufacturing, that we covered in video course of Exergi, right? So there are rarely any such questions which are asked in GATE 2021 and which were not covered in our different courses. Coming to this question, the question says that an uninsulated cylindrical wire of radius 1 mm produces electrical heating at a rate of 5 watt per meter. An uninsulated electrical wire. So initially there is just wire, no insulation, no coating, radius is given as 1 mm. It produces electrical heating, means electrical current is flowing through that. As a result of the heating effect of current, it gets heated up at a rate of 5 watt per meter. Now this is a point again of interest. I have told you that heat generation can be represented in different forms, right? It can be represented per unit volume, even it can be represented for per unit surface area, that how much heat it is going to radiate, how much it is going to move out, convect. And obviously it can be defined per unit length. For a constant cross section area wire, you can define the heat generation for per unit length also, because area, cross section area, is a constant. Here it is not per meter cube, it is per meter. So one unit length of wire is generating how much heat as a result of this electrical heating that has been given to you. That in this such situation, when there is no coating on the wire, the temperature of the surface of the wire is 75 degrees and ambient temperature is 25 degrees Celsius. Please note that this diagram is not given in the question. While writing the question, I just drew the diagram, but this diagram, don't look at it right now. It is not given to us in the question. Okay. So ambient temperature is given as 25 and surface temperature is 75 for uninsulated wire. Wire is now coated with PVC of thickness 1 mm to reduce the surface temperature to 55 degrees Celsius. This is a concept that we have repeatedly discussed in different courses, right? That electrical coating, the coating on electrical wire is done for two purposes. Obviously, to save from electrical shock, to save yourself from electrical shock, and also to reduce the temperature, to cool it. It's that cooling, it's that coating which cools the wire. The concept of critical radius of insulation is definitely used here. Question is not asking about that, but that concept, that funda is ensuring that even coating the wire cools it, right? Generally, coating something makes it hotter, but that's not the case. This is the beauty of critical radius of insulation. Anyway, coming to the question, coating it reduces the surface temperature from 75 to 55 degree. Surface temperature of the wire itself. Alright, assuming same heat generation for both cases. For both means for insulated as well as for uninsulated cases, find the thermal conductivity of PVC. Alright, as I told you, diagram is not given in the question. I have drawn the diagram. This is the initial case when we have only wire. The radius R1 I have written is 1 mm, 25 degrees Celsius is the ambient temperature. Ts I have written as the surface temperature, which is equal to 75 degrees Celsius. Correct? This is the thermal circuit for this case. Between Ts and infinity, simply there is a convection going on. Heat convection is going on. Even if you don't draw this thermal circuit for this case, it can be directly written as the expression using the Newton's law of cooling for the convection, right? So here that same thing I have shown here. Alright, for the convection resistance I have written here. The second case is shown here where dotted PVC coating is shown. The coating also is having a thickness of 1 mm. So if I talk about only this coating, so inner radius of the coating is R1, is outer radius of wire, same as inner radius of coating. The outer radius of coating is R2, which is 1 plus 1, which is 2. So R2 here is equal to 2 mm. Ambient temperature does not change, but due to this coating, this surface temperature Ts falls to 55 degree Celsius. For that case also, we have drawn the thermal circuit diagram. This is Ts, this is To, and this is T infinity, right? Or ambient temperature. So there is a conduction resistance between Ts and To, and a convective resistance between To and T infinity. Both of them I have shown here, and their expression I have written. All right. Now, in order to solve this question, you need to, in this question you have to find out this value of K, right? Length you don't have to worry about, because question automatically gave you heat generation per unit length. So only unit length you have to consider, right? Whatever is going to be the temperature profile or temperature for any given length of 1 meter or 2 meter or 3 meter, same is going to be there throughout the wire, because it's a uniform cross section, uniform heat generation. Nothing is going to change whether you consider 1 meter length, 2 meter or 3 meter. Even if you want to consider 3 meter length, you consider it as 3 meter, but then you have to multiply this with 3. For 3 meters of length, 15 watt will be generated, right? So let's proceed simply, and let us do one thing, that here in place of L, let us put 1. Rather remove that expression directly, because length is 1. Now, in this case, R2, R1 is known to us. K value it is asking. Temperature, this is known, this is 25 degrees Celsius. So if you look at this, you may think that to find out the thermal conductivity, let us directly apply the thermal circuit concepts between Ts and T infinity. The temperatures are known to us. The resistance we can add, but H value you do not know. And this is why this data is given to you in the question. If H was directly given, you can use this case directly and get the answer. But H is not given, so this case is going to be used to find out the value of H, because Ts 75 is given, T infinity 25 is given, L we are going to take 1 as I told you, R1 is given as 1 mm, so H is the only unknown. So for this case, if we apply Newton's law of cooling or the heat transfer equation for convection, you can directly write it as Q is equal to Ts minus T infinity divided by the resistance that we have here, right? And now this value of resistance will go on the numerator side. So it will become HA Ts minus T infinity, right? So directly this expression you can also write for the cooling, Newton's law of cooling for convection, right? Now the value of Q is going to be 5 watt per meter, because we are considering per meter length, 1 meter length, right? Multiplied by H multiplied by 2 pi, R is in mm, so we will write it as 10 raised to the power minus 3. Ts is 75 minus T infinity is 25. Now let us solve it. So upon solving it, we will get this value of H, watt per meter square, degree Celsius or Kelvin, because it is the difference of temperature. So in place of degree Celsius, we can write watt per meter square, Kelvin also. Now having known the value of H, let us put this value here in this thermal circuit and solve it to get the required value of thermal conductivity of K. Having calculated the value of H, the question is very simple now. Consider the heat transfer between Ts and T infinity. Heat transfer after the insulation also is unchanged. That is what question had said, that heat transfer going on, rather heat generation going on. As you can see here, heat generation for both the cases is same. Whatever heat is getting generated in the wire, same heat is getting conducted and convected out, right? So if that heat generation is not changing, the heat flowing through this thermal circuit will also not change. So still heat is going to be 5 watt per meter, correct? Temperature now has reduced to 55 degree at the surface of the wire, and this temperature at the infinity is same, 25 degrees Celsius, right? So we will add both the resistances for conduction and for convection. Okay, now if we put the values 55 minus 25, R2 value is equal to 2 mm, R1 is equal to 1, right? So ratio of them, whether you take the ratio in meter, mm, centimeter, is going to be 2 only. So it will be ln 2 by 1 divided by 2 pi k. K is unknown. K is the value that we require, plus, because these are in series, so it's going to get added, plus 1 by H multiplied by 2 pi R2. I have already explained you what happens with the L in both the cases, right? R2 value also is known to us. So in this complete expression, Q is equal to 5 known to us, R2 by R1 known to us, K value is required, H value we calculated as 15.915, R2 is 2 by 1000, K is the only unknown. Solve it and you will get this value of K as the answer, 0.1103. watt per meter Kelvin, the same units in which the answer was asked.